This is the Ag Queen Podcast. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Lori Boyer. In this podcast, we explore the agriculture industry with the movers and shakers of those shaping it. And today, our discussion will be on sustainability. I am joined by Ann Pearce. She is the Food and Agribusiness Industry Advisors Manager with Wells Fargo. And before we start talking about sustainability, Ann, let's talk a little bit more about you and your background.
Yeah, thanks, Lori. I grew up on a farm, and my colleagues will tell you I was a hands-on farm gal and still am. We grow a little bit of wine grapes around our house here. So my passion has been agriculture for a long time, and I'm really happy to serve our customers here at Wells Fargo in that capacity. My team provides expertise throughout the nation and on all things agriculture, mainly focused on the processing side of it.
Leanne, can you talk to me more about the Food and Agribusiness Industry Advisors team at Wells Fargo and what you do?
Our team covers many sectors. So, and I believe you spoke with Carol on food and beverage, but the team also covers almost every ag commodity out there, including specialty crops, grains and oil seeds, and crop inputs. So we work very closely with Dr. Michael Swanson, who's our ag economist, and we work to go out and do risk analysis and also to do presentations to our customers to show that Wells Fargo is knowledgeable about agriculture and really cares about their business. So, the team has a varied workload, but that is the basic thing we do is to go out, assess businesses, and utilize the knowledge that we gain from that, to try and help move the needle.
So being proactive in getting agribusinesses to adopt and accept sustainability practices is one of the major goals of your team.
We're out across the country a lot. My team travels a lot, and so we do have that opportunity. We bring in our other partners. Wells Fargo does a great job with this. We have a sustainability program that we try to follow ourselves, but also to help our customers understand, what it is and why it's important. So we will bring that conversation to the table and try to help them understand that talking about what they're doing, is meaningful to the consumer and will help them sell their product in the future.
Now let's go ahead and talk about sustainability. Why should ag producers care about it, and what's in it for them?
Because the customers demand it, the consumers demand it. There's a survey out by the Food and Health Insight.org, and they say 54% of boomers actually care about sustainably grown food, and that number rises to 58% of millennials. So I think this is an ongoing item as climate change continues to, arise.
How do you define sustainability? What is it?
Yeah, so I think this is a producer-defined program. My experience comes from the wine business, and as the wineries started to demand sustainably grown fruit, the producers came together to really define themselves what that meant. The grower associations brought them together. And so by creating those protocols, they were able to start to speak to their sustainable practices in a meaningful way.
And based on that, Leanne, would I be correct in saying that all segments of the ag industry have their own definition of sustainability?
It could be, because the practices vary across agriculture.
You mentioned the wine growers in California. Can you explain how their sustainability program works?
There's several, but the one that I'm most familiar with is on the Central Coast here where I sit, and it's called SIP certified, and it's a series of protocols that, go through how they use their water, what their growing practices look like in terms of fertilization and nurturing the vines, really what their labor force is doing and how they're treating them. It's a whole series of protocols, and it just kind of goes down a list, and they have to demonstrate that they have met those protocols to get a sustainable certification on the SIP program. It's very meaningful. They can really have great conversations.
In that example, did the California wine industry develop their own protocols for sustainability, or did they have an outside third party do that for them?
I believe that they use a lot of resources. The California Wine Grape Growers Association is kind of the overarching for many different grower associations. And they had already utilized them and also the Wine Institute research and government programs that were in place to create those protocols. So they did a lot of research and developed something that would be meaningful for the wineries and the consumers ultimately that were drinking that wine.
Do these sustainability practices cost more for producers?
It depends on the farmer and what they were doing before, but in this case, most of them were able to talk about what they've been doing for decades, right? They just didn't have a framework to really get the message out that, hey, we're already farming sustainably. So for many, the cost may have risen a little bit, but they were basically already farming in that sustainable manner, for a long time. So not a lot of budget increase there.
And then on the retail end, do consumers end up paying more or paying a premium for sustainability practices?
Not that I've seen. What it does is allow that winery to put that, sustainably grown certification on their bottle more easily. So what it will do is attract that consumer perhaps to that specific wine because they know it's been sustainably farmed and, the whole supply chain has been concerned about that.
Leanne, my next question is, how do sustainable and regenerative farming practices play together?
I see them as sort of working hand in hand. The sustainability is sort of the first step in the process, right? If you're going to talk about carbon sequestration and how you're farming to create that, sustainability conversation goes along with that. So I believe they play very well together and that they can be stepping stones for each other.
And in looking forward, do you believe customers will continue to demand sustainably grown products?
I really do because, I talked about that survey, the Food and Health Survey by foodinsight.org, where they had, surveyed a bunch of consumers about what was important to them. And that sustainably grown carbon footprint message really did capture the attention of those consumers in the survey. So I do believe that is an ongoing trend.
Was there anything else you wanted to mention here today, Leanne? That will wrap up today's edition of the Ag Queen podcast. I want to thank my guest for joining me here today, Ann Pearce. She is the Food and Agribusiness Industry Advisors Manager with Wells Fargo. I'm your host, Lori Boyer.